And I really just want to find that person that matches my energy and wants to build a life with me.
I'm just not going to have a man's baby just to have a man's baby. If a man wants me to have his baby, I have two requirements. You're going to get a tattoo of my face on your body because it's a body for a body. My body's going to change forever. Your body's going to change forever. And my push present is either a car or a house, preferably both. But I definitely want a tattoo of my face on the father of my child's body, preferably stomach, because my stomach is going to look different after a baby. So
what do you think? Am I being too harsh?
So, what exactly is wrong with the ladies? I know that I probably upset a lot of women with that, but don't worry, I'm going to be talking about the men too in this video, because I think that when you actually see this little bit that went viral that I'm showing you guys in the B-roll footage, because this right here is actually the clip that did go viral sometime last weekend, and it sparked this debate about why is it that there are so many women at this moment in time in their late 20s and early 30s that are single. And of course, you've got a lot of people who are out here saying it's economical. A lot of people out here saying it's the standards. A lot of people out here saying that it's the social media problem. You got a lot of people saying a lot of things. So let's just go ahead and let the straight, white, 39-year-old single guy go ahead and tell you what is actually really and truly going on. So you guys obviously saw at the very beginning that there was a slight, small montage of these ladies on TikTok. And of course, they're basically putting all their dirty laundry out there, all their desires. But of course, I do believe that some of these are in fact real. And what I mean by real is that these people honestly felt it was a good idea to put these types of things out there on the internet. And of course, there's a lot of reasons why it is that people would automatically think that maybe it's likely these ladies are single because they do put the stuff out there on the internet. But let me go ahead and say this before I go any further. There was a video that came out a couple of days ago from actual justice warrior Sean Fitzgerald, where he actually covered the lady that you're seeing in the B-roll footage, which, by the way, is going to be the first one I'm going to be looking at because I think it's the main one that people kind of latched onto. And he exposed the fact that she had actually been on TikTok before complaining about the Biden economy. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but right now at this moment in time politically, women, especially single women, are shifting further and further and further to the left. And of course, men, especially single men, are shifting a little bit further to the right. There's also this other thing that's going on that 57% of the country at this moment in time is single. And to go on top of this, when you actually dig into the numbers, you actually see that it's men who are the ones who are actually leaving the dating world. That is true, and I'm going to be explaining that over the course of this video. But as I said before, anytime I do a video like this right here, I have to be 100% absolutely fair in the overall assessment because it's actually a lot deeper than you might would think, or a lot deeper than you might would think would really just be a lot more obvious than you think. Don't worry, I'll explain exactly how that works here very soon because once again, it's another one of those issues that people quite frankly don't bother to look at. And yes, while feminism is definitely a problem, I think that the real problem is actually closer to materialism, but we'll get to that here soon. However, unlike actual justice warrior, I won't come out here and actually simp over some of these ladies. Instead, I'll just give you guys my honest perspective as a man who's actually been in and out of the bars and whatnot and has actually seen this stuff right there in his face. And obviously, to go on top of that, somebody who's been in relationships before, yes, I have seen exactly what's driving this, so let's go ahead and talk about it. The woman that you're seeing right now in the B-roll footage, and I would play this clip for you, but to tell you the truth, the biggest reason why I've chosen not to play the clip is because in reality, it is really heartbreaking to actually listen to. As I've said before, I would be very, 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 and I mean as fair as possible for this video when I talk about the opposite sex, the sex that quite frankly produces our children. Of course, you need a man to do that as well. And also our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our girlfriends, all that type of stuff there. And of course, you guys have already seen me come out here and basically be a mark for women's sports when I say that I don't want the playing in women's sports. But the thing is this right here. This is obviously an issue, and a lot of people are looking at this and they're wondering, why in the hell are we at this? Why in the hell are we like this at this moment in time? Why is it that so many men are leaving the dating market? And why is it that there are so many women who decide to put these sob stories out on TikTok? Well, you guys obviously just saw it, and I did tell you that I wasn't going to play it for it, but screw it, I'm going to play a little bit of it for you now.
From being picked on because I was brave enough to sit there, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, the next few comics come up, and they both kind of point out, like, are you waiting on people, or like what's going on here? And I'm, have to admit, like, no, I'm trying to meet people. And, again, they're nice. They're not being mean to me about it, but it's mortifying. It's mortifying. And then another comment comes up, and again, it's just like, you're pretty, but like, and it's just, yeah. I'm so sick of hearing that. There's such a thing as people that just don't find their person and don't get married. So like, I'm a realist, and the realist in me is starting to think like that's gonna be me, and I'm depressed now over it. As pathetic as that sounds, and yeah.
I can definitely relate to her. Being a man who's in his late 30s and single, I can definitely relate to that. However, I think there's a lot more to this than what she was just saying. And of course, there's also some things that are going to be left out too, but we'll talk about that in a second. In this TikTok, and of course, the full TikTok is roughly 6 minutes long, the woman reveals that she reveals that she has been single for 7 years, that she is 33 years old. And of course, you guys obviously heard that bit about her going out, being by herself. It's humiliating, it's sad. And of course, she's obviously got this thing going on right now where she thinks that she needs somebody else. She needs a man. Some of this, by the way, is also validation. Some people need the significant other to actually feel validated. Okay, what I mean by that is that they need the opposite sex. They need somebody on their arm. I know that right there may not sound like the very deep thing that I was going to mention here earlier, but this is also one thing that does in fact happen. There are some people who, quite frankly, hop from relationship to relationship. She doesn't seem to me like she's one who does that, but then again, at the same time, though, it's very, very possible over the course of 7 years, she just did not find the right one because she would not stay with somebody long enough. I'm not putting the full blame on her. I'm just simply saying that right there is obviously a possibility. And of course, this right here is obviously a pretty sad topic, especially given the state of the world at this moment in time and given the overall lowering of the birth rate. This is actually a very big issue. Now, before I get to the lady that actually went viral, the girl who's inside of her car, I want to go ahead and say this right now. There was another lady who was 57 years old who decided to put this out on TikTok, and I played a bit of it for you guys at the very beginning. Let's go ahead and play the full 50 some odd seconds because there's some things that she says that, quite frankly, sound somewhat reasonable, but also at the exact same time, it's also mixed with a lot of delusion. My initial thinking when I saw this, and I don't believe that every single woman on TikTok is doing this, but also to go on top of this, I also don't believe that every single woman on TikTok is this deranged. And what I mean by that is this here. I think some of these ladies put these types of TikToks out to get clicks. Let me go ahead and say this really quick. And I know this is not exactly what we call the deep thing I was talking about, but a lot of these ladies will put this stuff out there, and what they will do is they will just simply enjoy the engagement. Say something very, very crazy. I mean, there was even one that came out recently of a young girl who was complaining about the Biden economy and how it was she could not make any money. But to the untrained eye, it seemed like, my God, this girl right here was absolutely terrible. This girl's going through a very, very bad period in her life. Get this girl some work. But if you paid very, very close attention, you would see that she was actually inside of a pretty nice house. And you would probably get the impression that she obviously posted it to get extra clicks and, of course, increase the overall engagement. I'm not saying that every single girl on TikTok does this, but of course, we've all seen the gym girls. We've all seen that there. Of course, they're looking for the negative comments so that way they can boost their viewership. However, the thing about that woman there, and I need to go ahead and say this because I did say there were some things that she said that were somewhat reasonable. I understand that a woman who's like 57 years old who wants to date at this moment in time may not want to date somebody who's got kids who are a little bit younger. I hate to tell you this, but a lot of men out there, and this is probably what's going to end up happening to me, I'm just saying it because I'm one of the old hats who did not get married when he was young. Life sometimes can be very, very hard for others, especially if you're stupid, which, by the way, I don't hide because obviously some very stupid things when I was younger. People like, say, myself would probably end up marrying a woman that's probably a lot younger than us. Not that much younger, but definitely within a certain ball game to where you would want to squeeze out kids very, very quickly. So I could very well find myself in a situation where I'm like 52 years old and I've got like a child that's like less than 10 years old. I'm just simply saying with a wife that's probably like 40. I'm just saying. What she's saying sounds delusional because she's putting out an absolute list of demands online. You see, another reason why it is that a lot of guys look at this stuff is, number one, they're baffled that your standards are that ridiculous. But also, to go on top of this, it's also baffling that you would put this online. The vast majority of men out there, when we meet a girl, we don't want a girl putting all her business out there in front of everywhere. A lot of women, by the way, would also like it if men did not put their business out there. I mean, my God, look at me, okay? But then again, at the same time, I've also told you guys that I mean this. We are going to video essays, so there'll be a lot fewer videos like what I'm posting now with my face and all that stuff in it. The fact is this right here. We see somebody posting to the internet trying to get engagement or whatever, or we see social media, which we're going to talk about here in a second. We see this type of stuff here. We see the filters that are getting put on. After a while, it just turns us off because you're not presenting anything that's real. And to the trained eye, our immediate assumption would be that you decided to put this crazy TikTok out there because you wanted viewership and engagement. And we're always wondering, is this person really and truly this delusional? Is this person really and truly that crazy? Or are they just doing this because they just want to make some additional cash? Yes, I know there are going to be some people out here who are going to show up in this comment section and absolutely tear me to shreds over this. But the more and more I look at this, the more and more I think to myself that a lot of these TikToks are just another form of a grift. Now we get to the lady who's in the thumbnail. When this particular TikTok went viral, a lot of people were in the comment section, especially people that follow her, were pointing out the fact that the girl actually is a fitness girl. She's in very good physical condition. While she may not fully look it in this particular video, there are several photos of her. This is a very, very attractive young girl. She's 29 years old. And you probably think to yourself, man, she should, in fact, actually have a husband. She should have a man. But let's watch some of this.
Quick question. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I am so sick and tired of just everything right now.
Honey, really quick question. Do you always start with quick question when you, like I said, I don't have TikTok. The reason I'm asking that question is because one of the things that a lot of men struggle with when dealing with women in relationships is good old-fashioned communication. I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about them. You see, there's this thing that I learned sometime in my late 20s, and it made me think about what exactly I was doing, and I realized that there's a lot of things that, quite frankly, little things I didn't really pick up on as a man. But I want to say this because the common theme that I have learned throughout my entire life when dealing with girls, especially girls our age, is that a lot of these women automatically assume that us men are mind readers. I'm just saying that before we go any further. Why can't you say this to your best friend? Why can't you say this to not only your best friend, but one of your married friends who probably has a guy that they know they can hook up with? It kind of goes back to standards. And I've been saying that standards is obviously one of the biggest issues here. But as you guys will see a little bit later on in the video, it's not just social media, it's also the M word. And it also affects men too. But let's go ahead and get back to it.
Everyone is so quick to say, stop doing this, stop thinking like this, stop telling me I'm wrong. I have literally convinced myself at this point, based on everything that everyone's telling me, my therapist, my family, my friends, that I'm just doing everything wrong. I'm healing wrong. I'm thinking wrong. I'm training wrong. I'm doing relationships wrong. Everything I do is fucking wrong. And I'm so sick of it. Stop comparing. It's not even about comparison. Like, I genuinely just want love in my life so badly. It's literally not about anyone else. It's just about me and what I want.
Now, really quick, that last part where she said, it's about me, a lot of people try to take that out of context, and you'll see here in a second what I mean. They try to say that, okay, well, it's obviously all her fault. I'm not thinking about her saying it's about me. I'm not thinking about that at all. Trust me, I've been in her shoes before. I'm thinking about the people saying, stop doing this, stop doing that. That sounds to me like you're not listening. That sounds to me like maybe people are telling you what to do. Maybe people are trying to break through to you and you're not listening. This right here is the one thing that I've heard, the one thing that I've seen a lot of content creators absolutely space over when it comes to this TikTok. What did I say before? Communication. We're not mind readers. Listen, hon. Listen. Listen, boo. Let's continue.
The fact that I don't have it. I feel like I have done so much work on myself. I have built a beautiful life for myself. I'm happy with my life where I'm at, my job. I'm successful. I'm independent. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I take such good care of myself. Truly, the only thing I'm missing in my life is someone to enjoy it with. And I'm so sick of waiting. Like, when is it going to be my turn? What more do I have to do to fix myself before I'm just allowed to be happy? Before I'm allowed to meet this universe soulmate person that God supposedly has for me? How much harder do I have to pray and manifest and wait? I feel like I'm being punished.
Okay, this right here is what I want to do. Number one, you can't manifest anything. Only God can do that. All right? I would love to grab the girl by her hand, settle down, hon. I need you to listen. I need you to listen. I said before, this girl obviously, from what I can see, has two things going on. Number one, her standards are probably a little bit too high. Got to adjust them a little bit, babe. I think it's, I don't really watch, I'm not really into the whole manosphere, red pill community. I mean, because I think of what it's become, not what it used to be or what it is, but what it's kind of become on some ends. And there's obviously some hypocrisy there, looking at you guys fresh and fit. But still at the same time, though, the thing I've got to say is this right here. I do still listen to like Michael Sartan from time to time. Every now and again, I'll listen to those guys, whatever. But it's mostly just entertainment at this point in time. What I'm saying is this right here. Michael Sartan, in particular, loves to bring up the fact that you look at men's overall income. You've got this issue where you've got a lot of girls. I would say about 90% of them are going after the top 10% of men. It's not realistic. Now, we'll get to that a little bit more so here soon. But the vast majority of men don't have the high-level incomes we're mostly making it near to. Yeah, I hate to say this, but the whole pay, the whole pay gap thing is a bunch of crap, okay? It really and truly is. And something else, too, you got to go on top is that men, for the most part, are programmed to be hunters, and women, I guess, are programmed to be more of gatherers, and, of course, men are supposed to be support. Women nowadays are not exactly respectful of that. They want to be on a man's level, in some cases, even above. One of the girls that I showed you guys was talking about that in her TikTok. I'm not playing the TikTok because the TikTok itself, you kind of can't understand what she's saying because of her accent. Hell, I could barely understand it too. And normally I play this type of stuff. But of course, I'm showing you guys here in the B-roll footage. Being strong, independent, basically, working, being a working girl. Okay. Most of us get that. Most of us understand that. We still would prefer you to be at home with the kids because the vast majority of men, we would love to have children with you. That's why we marry you. You know what I'm saying? We want to have children, have a family with you. But still, at the same time, though, when you're too independent, too strong, it quite frankly can be a little bit emasculating to the point to where it's pretty obvious you don't need a man. I'm not saying that's what's going on in the case of this girl here, but it seems to me like she's got two main problems. Number one, she doesn't listen. And number two, her standards are probably set a little bit high. Go back to the previous girl that I showed you guys, the one who was complaining. See, in her 6-minute long video, she was talking about her friends, everybody being married off. You mean to tell me that not one single one of your girlfriends or one of your guy friends as Murph did not try to set you up with somebody else? I'm going to take a wild guess and say they probably did. She probably just outright rejected. I'm not saying it's the same thing with this girl Ryan here, but it definitely sounds kind of familiar. Let's watch this last bit.
And I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I don't expect a lot. I just want love in my life so bad. I want my life partner. Am I just supposed to be alone? Like, is that the message? That this beautiful life I've built for myself, like, it's just supposed to be me in it alone? Like, I know I have my dog and I love him so much, but like, I need love. All of my friends have their fiancés and their boyfriends and their husbands that they prioritize. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I've been left behind.
I feel your pain. You've been left behind. That's how you feel. But the thing is this right here. you're going to have to learn to listen, and you're also going to have to learn that you can't just manifest things. Only God can do that. I mean, the only type of advice I could give her was just, adjust your standards and just keep doing what you're doing and don't be neurotic. I'm not saying that she is, even though obviously some people may come in the comment section and say the same thing. Man, this chick is obviously pretty. Whatever. I mean, the point is this right here. We need to be absolutely honest about the situation. And what do I mean by honest about the situation? Well, how the hell did we actually get here? Social media is really what the hell did this. Now, one of the people that I will listen to from time to time, and I know I mentioned Michael Sartan earlier, and I mentioned some of the rip, because I got my own issues with them, but occasionally the podcast, I'll listen to them every now and again. Donovan Sharp's another one, but I think Rich Cooper is probably the one that's hit the nail on the head the most. Let's look at this real quick.
St. Bart's. So we're all coming down here and staying at Eden Rock, which is a place that's, $1,000 a night. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? Okay, so that's how it works. And what I was thinking about is back in our day, prior to the internet, prior to social media, prior to even cell phones, the only, guys that these women would have access to in their dating pool would be the guys that lived within a 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
So those guys would have a shot. If you're an Uber driver working at McDonald's, as long as you're ambition and you're a young guy, you would have a shot with one of these girls. But now, in today's day and age, that same guy that's driving Uber at 25 years old, that's just trying to make his way, is competing with the 35-year-old guy in St. Bart's that just sold his business for $300 million and is driving around on a 150-foot yacht. And it's just, unfortunately, that's where you have that big divide. Guys complain that women's standards are just way, way too high. And then women complain that there are no good guys out there.
Guys are not meeting their standards. Like, where do I find all these?
Bingo, 100%. Now, we can talk about social media and how it was that social media kind of helped create this. I don't think social media is really what created it. I think social media is what made it a lot worse. The truth be told is that we have, as a society, have become more and more and more, how do I say, consumerism has kind of become the bigger thing. And materialism has kind of become the second thing. Now, I'm saving that for the last bit because it does affect the men too, as you guys will see here soon. The point is this right here. The standards are not being met because the standards for women, as far as requirements for men, are just way too daggone high. You got like all these women trying to screw the very, very top 10% of men who've already got jobs, who've already at the same time also got career, money, all that stuff, status. And of course, you're using social media to meet these guys and completely bypassing a whole level of the guys. Basically, what I'm saying is that you've already messed with the top G, and that top G has already messed you up, or you're already messed up as a result of this. By the way, that top G, he just views you as absolutely 100% disposable. But of course, a lot of these ladies don't want to listen to that. So if you tell them the actual truth, they'll just gaff it off like it's nothing. I mean, what is it with women? You just say the exact opposite, or you tell them to do something, they do the exact opposite. I mean, that's kind of the way they operate. I mean, I would go through woman brain versus man brain. Of course, I'm not going to do that because that's a long-ass seminar on its own, even though I might try to find it, link in the description box. Mark Gunger did a very, very good job of explaining that. The point is this right here. A lot of these women don't really and truly, how do I say, listen. And of course, by not listening, they've become absolutely delusional when it comes to standards and the realism and realistic expectations. But let's watch a little bit more.
It's like, where do I find all these guys with the standards that I've set?
And I think that divide is going to get worse.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great observation. Because because when I was a kid, it was girls from school. It was girls where I worked. Like my part-time jobs or even a summer full-time job. You would try to hit on them and make it turn into a date, ask them out, sort of stuff. But you didn't have the wide reach that everybody has today if they're influential with social media and dating apps. And I mean, Instagram, a lot of people have said this many times before, is probably the world's biggest dating app. Yeah. It's more popular and used by more women than any other dating app. And the women on Instagram are generally more attractive than what you get on dating apps anyway. But you're absolutely right. Like there's this large contingent of guys out there that want to be with attractive women because that's what guys like. We're not generally interested in their degrees or their accomplishments. And they don't want really much to do with a guy that hasn't accomplished much with their life. A rich man will change a broke woman's life, but a rich woman won't look a broke man's way. That's just a reality.
Exactly. Truth be told, is the vast majority of men don't really care that much about the accomplishments. The main thing that we're concerned about is attractiveness, loyalty, and of course, this is an actual fit, and can we trust you? That right there is where loyalty mostly comes in at. Yeah, if you ask a woman what the perfect man is, a lot of times they'll just give you this vast litany of things, the most desirable man, and then at the same time they just end up, how do I say, just naming the next woman or naming the perfect woman. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I mean, I've been in and out of the bar, club, relationships, this, that, and the other. And of course, I've had some failed ones. I'll be the first one to admit where I've got it wrong. But there's also been a lot of times where it's been like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, oh my God. Or you got played or you got led on. That happens a lot too. Like I said, listening is probably the number one thing. Of course, to go on top of this now, feminism, of course, has made things a lot worse. Social media has made things a lot worse. Look, I won't say this right quick. This is strictly anecdotal. Okay, but everybody I've talked to who met their wife or their girlfriend online, they're already divorced or getting divorced. Meeting online is more hookup than it is actually finding a relationship. I mean, I know somebody's probably going to say that you're going to pull the old TradCon BS and tell people to, I don't know, go to church or whatnot. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is that more often than not, if you have a successful relationship, you more than likely meet a girl in a non-threatening environment as a man. Same thing with a woman. You more than likely meet a man from a non-threatening environment. The bar and the club can somewhat be daggone threatening. That's not the best place to go to. And of course, there's all kinds of horror stories of people getting hacked up and killed when you go online. I personally have viewed Tinder and whatnot as nothing more than just a hookup site that you're paying a bunch of money for per month. And as a guy, you probably only get laid, once a year? Most of them do. Of course, some people will go out there and overblow their numbers, and women will do the same thing as well. But obviously, a lot of things are going on here, and it makes you wonder what the hell the women's problem is. However, I want to go ahead and say this really quick before I go any further. What is the most important thing? What is the most important thing to a man? It's really his legacy. You find a good woman, you find a wife, you have children, you have a nice, stable job. The American dream. We'll be having videos on that, or at least I'll be making some videos in the near future about this, but I got to go ahead and say this before we go any further. I did say earlier that this right here does affect men too. And of course, if you've seen this clip that I'm showing you now, then you probably know what I'm talking about. To go further into detail on that clip and that entire exchange a little bit later on this week. Probably it could be the follow-up on Friday. I know I told you guys I was only doing like one video a day for the summer, but every now and again I will throw a second video out there. Of course, it's going to be scheduled, and I'll always let you guys know if that's going to happen. But when you make your entire existence about materialism and material wealth, then that right there is probably going to have something to do with what's going on with the ladies too. By the way, I'm not demonizing success. I'm all about getting success. I'm all about getting in shape. I'm also at the exact same time all about, I don't know. Oh yeah, that's right. Legacy, like what Andrew was talking about. Of course, that was not so much what he was talking about there, but in the broader context of the actual discussion that these two men had, I think legacy is way more important, and I think there's a massive divide there, and I think that the women see this, and of course they see all the material wealth, and they automatically jump to it. By the way, it's not just the men, it's also the women too. All you got to do is go to Instagram or go to Facebook to see all the filters and everything. A lot of insecurity is there, and to go on top of this, as I've mentioned before, a lot of the ladies, especially nowadays, don't listen. They're delusional. They see somebody like the guy in white, who I think would be absolutely hilarious if he crapped his pants, because when you wear full white like that, and of course you've got some brown coming out of you, it's obviously quite embarrassing. As I have said before, when you see this and you think to yourself, man, he's a great big giant top G, when in reality he's not. He's just a great big giant douche with money. Yeah, it kind of makes you automatically think that, yes, this right here is what the hell they're gravitating towards. Now, as I have said before, I don't demonize success at all. I'm all about success. But of course, the truth be told about West there is that a lot of his stuff, and a lot of people have actually backed this up and stated that a lot of it's actually false bravado and fake, which of course we'll talk about more in the follow-up to this video here. When you actually look at the current market, how consumerism is operating, the online dating world, you would probably automatically think to yourself that these standards have been set way too high, at least as far as women are concerned, because once they get a hold of somebody like that, they don't even bother to look at anything else, not realizing that he is completely unrealistic in every sense of way. And by the way, too, he would also eventually have a meltdown on stage, which would show you that he's also, well, pretty daggone feminized. And Andrew, of course, during the course of that discussion, remained very, very calm, cool, and collected. But like I said, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. The point is this right here. The materialism in society is absolutely rampant. Like I said, nothing wrong with success. Obviously, we need to make money, keep ourselves in great physical shape, and all that stuff there. But the allure that these ladies are getting is just the top 1%, and therefore that right there is what the hell they're going to. And quite frankly, that's all the hell that they, quite frankly, will even take at this point in time. Everything else is an absolute downgrade. You can be the best man in the world, good old-fashioned Christian man, love your family, very, very successful, make at least 5 to 6 figures a year, and you would be very, very attractive in a lot of other areas to a lot of different other women. It's part of the reason why the pass pro crap exists, and don't even get me started on that. The point is this right here. Women have set the standards way too dang on high, and men, quite frankly, are not going to be able to compete because, quite frankly, it's completely unrealistic. And it's one of the main reasons why it is that so many men are absolutely done with the dating market and saying to hell with this and walking away. This right here will also create other problems down the line, and some people ask the question if things are about to get a lot worse, but we'll be talking about that in another video because while I'm here, it just occurred to me that it would actually be a good idea to go back and look at the Pearl Davis, Lauren Shin discussion that occurred this past weekend or previous week on the Timcast IRL, because there was a lot discussed there that both sides made very good points on that I think needs to be discussed in this video in this particular little series. But we'll probably wait till next week to make it more of a single video that's a little bit bigger for that. The point is this right here. The standards are way too daggone high. Now, is that to say that you can't find a good girl if you're a man? No, you can obviously find one. You just got to look around a little bit harder. Does that say that you can't find a good guy if you're a girl? No, it's not at all. But you need to stop saying the standard's too dang high. And quite frankly, for God's sakes, you need to learn to listen and stop just automatically assuming that men are mind readers. That right there would go a long way. With that right there being said, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Please subscribe. Please share the video. Please hit the like button. And I'll see you guys later.